This is Gerald Overmars. If letters can be derived to formulas with which you can recognize also forms, also behaviors, how we have to behave towards a word and so on, they can also be seen as recipes. How a product is formed, how we act towards it to get to the product. So let's ask Chef Jerry again. Hello, Chef Jerry, and ask him if it is also possible to create a certain situation where you have a certain situation that describes the word foam, for instance, because it could be interesting to create a recipe as that which creates foam. Jerry is not moving much, so I will help him a little bit, and I will have my plate here, my object, my material, where I will choose letters to create the circumstances so that I can get foam. The first letter is the letter F. When I look it up into my system, it has a certain place. It's a place somewhat at the borders. It's at the formation process, so we could start indeed from a plate where the material is forming, and there is a situation there. There are circumstances there in that material, at the borders of that material, so we can work with it. So I think, that will be possible. What is the place of the letter F? It's there at the borders where the limits. It is. I don't know if I can create it, but I'll try. I have it at the limits, or where I can create myself, form myself a situation, and in this case, or a form in this case where it has these circumstances where I can grow to indeed, but I have to adapt already because it's at my limits of what I can create myself. I have to adapt to circumstances. So the middle part of the scheme are these circumstances of growing towards the circumstances, but it also has to adapt and has to deal with the adaptation. The letter F is at the border, so it will certainly have to deal with this adaptation and sees also its limits, how much it can do. So it's on the number 3, so we have there two points up and actually already one point down. It is. You can. I have described it differently as well as all kinds of directions and so on, and where. But it comes actually down to the contradictions that occur at a certain point, where there is already a feedback that says you can't go straight forward completely because you have to deal with the counter feedback as well. So forward has feedback as well. And that's what you have to deal with. So if you want to move forward, to create a situation, you have to deal with that feedback process. So you do not know beforehand where you have to go and land because you have to deal with the situation. That's the F, that's the circumstances. These are the circumstances which have a certain contradiction. Circumstance in which it works can be seen as it is already away from the object, away from the plate where you start from, and it deals with a situation which changes over time, and we also need time to adapt a little bit because that's what it is. We work towards circumstances, and these circumstances are not from the object itself. They are in the environment. So that's what you need to deal with. If you have a timed aspect, it's not just about the time that is in the object itself, it's also the circumstances in the environment that play along. That's the mindset you have to understand the letter F, where the letter F is. So it is in the circumstances, in the environment, where these conditions will appear and where it will need time also to adapt. The next letter will be the O, which again is about timing. It says I engage my timing process. I engage it at the place where I think I will have it. I will engage it from there from a placial orientation, but in a time process, and I will start to find its place. So where will I have my situation? Because that's what I expect. I want to have these circumstances. I want to to control these circumstances because I'm chef. I'm presenting the chef here. I want to control these circumstances, so I go to these circumstances, I look for these circumstances, I take the time for it, I look for its place now. Where will that be? It will be at a place in A, it will be visible in a place where, again, these contradictory circumstances will be visible. And how will that become visible? Because that will be defined by the last letter, which is the M. The M is at the border, so I'll first show it as border, so that it will be contradictory borders, so from both sides, from the side up as so it will be contradictory conditions with an outer effect that we are already sure, and it will be visible in the material in M. And M also says it has three focuses. It is the number 3. It will have 3 focuses. In this case, we already know we will have a few focuses which tries to push it up, and I will have a feedback which wants to do something different. It wants to limit itself. It wants to limit. So the growing tension will have certain feedback at these borders. Inside these borders will be a combination, of course, from the letters before, the O inside the A. So the O, that environment, where there is an A inside. So it will have these bubbles indeed, the bubbles in which different circumstances can be seen, and how big these circumstances can be. Can show themselves, so that will be visible in the foam. It's just a description, of course, but it's describing the circumstances of what I have there. So I have these circumstances here visible. But can Chef Géry create these circumstances? Actually not. It can just only provide a description of these circumstances. So actually, Chef Géry, you cannot create these circumstances. You can only follow these circumstances, or follow them up. It's not more than you cannot be a chef, but maybe you can be a chief and just follow the orders and follow the circumstances as they are. Thank you, Chief Géry, also to participate in this thinking process, and I hope you also, as a visitor to this YouTube channel, have a clue already what it is describing, what these words are described. They are describing circumstances, and these circumstances are described at certain borders and as a contradictory of place with counter effects on the border, so that you have environmental different places in the end, and that will create the foam. So it will almost create the amount of counter measurements in the how you can measure it into detail. I don't know. I don't want to know. It doesn't. I don't have to know. It's a description of a word, where it's going to and how it is built up from these circumstances. It could be interesting, of course, to say to measure the tensions from outside, inside, and that you can see that as well in these bubbles of foam that you can see there into detail. Thanks again for watching. Bye.